I want to talk about the second dream that I had of Bapak, which was in the it was also soon after the first one in the 1970s, maybe it was early 80s. And the setting of the dream was a mountain lake, or a lake in the top of a mountain. I was coming over the ridge of this mountain, walking. And the mountain was very prickly with rocks. You had to be very careful getting over and manoeuvring, going around. And I came over this ridge in the mountain near the top, and I looked over the side, and there was a tarn, a mountain lake, just there, and this is where Papa was in that lake. And I was known as Latif at the time, and he said, "Come on, Latif, come in the water." I carefully made my way down to the edge of the lake, and it seemed to be very deep, and I was a little bit frightened that I'd be out of my depth. So I hung around in the water up to my knees, I think, before Bapak laughed. Yeah, as he does, and he pulled me in. I think I was willing to go in, but he was keen to get me in. And it was an amazing experience. I could still remember it now. The feeling of the water it was not like water, it was something like crystal clear essence of something or other. And I sank under the water and was completely immersed, and then bobbed up again, and Bapak was saying, yeah, now you got it. That was the end of the lake and the end of the dream. And I've always thought of the dream as a metaphor for the inner world, of needing to let go, and to be open to whatever happens. The first thing that when I look back at it, the mountainous terrain, the difficulty of the terrain actually meant something. And I think this is a metaphor for the Latihan, that it may be simple to do, but it's not easy. It's actually quite hard. I've come to think of this lake as the lake of surrender. And I want to tell you something about surrender and me. I was opened in 1971 or 2, somewhere around that time. And although I received the Latihan and received movements and certainly changes in my life, looking back on it now, I realized that I didn't know what surrender really meant. I mean, I know the words, we know the words, but what does it actually mean inside? And as I say, it's easy to say, but it's not easy to do. And I need to tell you about the first time that I knew that I had come to surrender. And it was probably best part of 10 years after I was opened. And I was in Belfast. I was seriously ill. My back had gone collapsed, and I was admitted to hospital. And this was in the middle of the Troubles in Belfast, and the hospital that I went to was the combined military and civil hospital of Belfast. And I was put on the orthopedic ward, and on the orthopedic ward there were soldiers and civilians and people who were victims of what happens when there are bombs going off. And I was there for at least a month, and the crudeness of the way they wanted to fix my back problem was they put me, head down on my belly with a harness around my pelvis and what they call a traction machine, and a weight at the end of the bed pulling the bottom end of your pelvis from the backbone. And I got it didn't actually do anything for me. I got worse and worse in the hospital. I developed an ulcer. I developed vertigo. I was paralyzed down the right side of my body. I lost weight. I was down to 8 stone 4, which is a little over 100 pounds, which is about half of what I am now. And I couldn't stand. I needed help to go to the bathroom, things like that. So I got progressively worse in this hospital, in Musgrave Park Hospital in Belfast. And until one night, and there was helicopters used to come in and out, up outside the windows, landing, bringing in soldiers and civilians who had been injured in bombings and sectarian violence, which was rife at the time. And nobody really knew that I was there. I was kind of on my own. And the guy in the next bed to me was having his legs amputated the next day. He was kind of screaming. The guy opposite to me died of a heart attack in front of me. And in this big ward, there was misery. And I got to this point, I thought, and I was very ill, very sick. I couldn't stand, I couldn't eat. I'd become allergic to the hospital food. And I got to that point, I thought, I give up. This is it. I'm ready to go. And at the moment I was willing to give up, a little counter happened at the side of my head, and it was as if my life was summed up. And the counter just came to below 0. And it, as if to say, well, you haven't done anything. It's not your time. Go back. And so I felt these doors open, and then they closed. And then the next morning, the consultant came in and he says, "My God, if we don't discharge you, we'll be taking you out in a box." So he said, "We're going to discharge you today." And I cried. I thought, how can I can't live. But there was some kind people who took me in, and I lived on their floor for a few months until I got my strength back. And there was a very nice lady who the wife of some business partner of mine, who helped me to recover. But that surrender I was taken to the edge of my life before I could surrender. And that, I understand, was actually the first time that I actually surrendered. And I understood what surrender meant after that. Surrender means that you are willing to give up everything, to let go of everything, even your own life, if that's what's needed. And this is what this lake in the mountain is about. This is the difficulty in finding that place, that lake of surrender. This is how it is for me. I mean, other people may find it a lot easier. I'm sure they do. And I'm sure I was, you know, it was difficult for me because I'm basically a stubborn old sod. And, but I don't think I'm unique in that sense. I think, and I've seen even within Seward, that there are people who, you know, they do Latihan, but are they actually surrendered? Are they willing to let go of everything for this cause of allowing this grace into one's life? Just what it is. I mean, this is the power of God coming into your life to move you in a new direction. And there is no half measure for that. You're either surrendered or you're not. If you're not, then it's just like having a little channel and a little bit of the grace comes through. But what we were expected to do is to have this wide feeling, and that's really what I felt. I felt in this dream. However, I've understood this for a long time, but there was a part of the dream that I've only recently understood was actually very important, and for me now it's probably more important, and that was the relationship with Bapak. He was having a good time. And he wanted me to have a good time. And in the end, this is what God wants. God wants you to have a good time. But you can only really have that good time if you can be surrendered. So this is the thing that I feel more about today, is as I'm getting heading towards the sunset, so to speak, and you can see me in my International Space Station office. I've probably got many years ahead of me yet, but there's the time that I have got left, I think, has to be fun. And this is something which I'll talk about in